Season 3 of The Last Resort is here, and it takes place in an actual castle this time. I guess they decided they weren't going to piss off any more vacationers at different resorts. We have some familiar faces attending this retreat: Sarper and Shekinah, Jenny and Samit, Kara and Guillermo, Thais and Patrick, Rebecca and Zied, and holy throwback, Russ and Paola. If you have been watching 90 Day Fiancé for a long time, seeing these two back on reality TV feels like opening a time capsule. Now, if you're newer to the franchise, you might not recognize Russ and Paola right away, but longtime viewers know these two were responsible for some of the most frustrating relationship drama in early 90 Day Fiancé history. Because for years, it felt like Russ and Paola were having the exact same fight over and over again. It didn't start that way though. 12 years ago, yes, 12, Russ brought Paola to the United States on a K-1 visa. They were on the very first season of 90 Day Fiancé, back when the show felt more like a documentary about international couples. Instead of the cringe fest we're watching now, we see Paola trying to adjust to life in Oklahoma, meeting Russ's conservative family, trying to figure out her new life. When you're watching it, it feels surprisingly normal. The biggest issue early on is that they're living with Russ's parents during the 90 days.
My brother's room, where you'll be staying.
No, why? I don't want to sleep in separate rooms.
Paola is also experiencing culture shock from moving from Colombia to Oklahoma.
I feel that the people are looking at me, looking at me like, no.
Could you imagine? That's probably not what most people picture when they dream about starting a new life in America. Oklahoma. So for much of the first season, I actually ended up feeling pretty bad for her. Things do improve once they get their own apartment, and for a little while, it looks like these two might actually have one of the healthier relationships in the franchise, but that doesn't last very long. Near the end of the season, Russ finds out that he has to leave for work just weeks before the K-1 visa expires.
I have no idea how long I'm going to be gone.
And this is where we get the first glimpse of a problem that follows them for years: Russ's job. Because Russ works in the oil and gas industry. The oil rig job pays well, but it also takes him away for long stretches of time. So suddenly he's trying to balance his career, his relationship, and a quickly approaching wedding. He's even not sure at one point if he can go to that approaching wedding. There's some confusion as to whether he ended up quitting or getting laid off in this scene, because suddenly he heads back and does attend his wedding. Either way, Russ no longer has a job and they do get married. But when we catch up with them later, Russ still doesn't have a job.
I've been unsuccessful in finding a new job, and it definitely puts a strain on our relationship.
What starts as disagreements about work slowly turns into the repetitive fight that spans their entire relationship. Because while Russ is trying to find stable employment, Paola is trying to build a modeling career. And there's a big problem because there aren't a lot of modeling opportunities in Oklahoma. Russ does not like the photo shoots that Paola ends up doing for her portfolio, but he doesn't really have much of a choice of telling her not to do it because he doesn't have a job, and this could bring in money for them. So they fight a lot. And unlike some reality TV arguments that disappear after an episode or two, this one doesn't go away.
This is my job. This is what I want to do. This is something that can happen.
Pao is told that if she's going to make these modeling gigs work, she has to move to Miami. They would have to leave Oklahoma. Eventually, Russ does agree to move to Miami with Pao. He even manages to find a job there.
The only thing is, it's about half what I was making in Oklahoma.
Russ takes a pay cut, but the moving doesn't solve their problems. Paola's modeling career doesn't pan out as she expected.
At the end of the day, I know what's getting booked.
But you haven't even asked me anything. You haven't even told me, like, let's set up a photo shoot with your photographer.
If anything, it seems like she got scammed.
Did we create a username and password for you?
Nothing.
Moving to Miami doesn't fix their issues. The location was never really the issue, was it? The true problem is that Russ and Pao wanted completely different lives. Every single update we end up getting about them is the same argument. And then things become much more serious when Pao suffers a miscarriage. They both struggle to process this. She doesn't feel supported.
Stop. Please stop. Just stop.
To give them credit, they work it out and they eventually welcome their son. Did they finally figure things out? Well, they're here at this couples retreat, so No? More than a decade after their first season, they're checking into a castle for couples therapy. And you guessed it, they're still dealing with many of the same issues. They've moved again. Shocking. They're living in Las Vegas, living in an RV. They're unhappy.
You use mine?
Yeah, this will be yours. I've gone through a lot of career changes and issues with work. Pal has now become more of the provider.
And according to them, their marriage is hanging on by a thread. So that's why they're here. Or maybe they're here because Pao is just trying to promote her wrestling. Time will tell. Because based on her individual interviews for the show, she already seems to have one foot out the door.
I went behind his back to see an attorney and to see my options about getting divorced.
So the retreat has started. The couples slowly meet. Some tension starts about Patrick talking about Sarper having big ears.
Now that I'm in person, he's really got some big ass ears.
Sumit gets in trouble for drinking.
Idiot.
Shekinah is like mad that Thais won't follow her on Instagram. I don't know.
What happened?
She's so mad with me. She said I unfollow her on social media. She wants me to follow her.
Russ and Pao fade to the background during these dumb fights. They don't know how to do this drama level that we're at now. But the next day at the group therapy session, we hear more from them.
I pay for everything. Why do I need someone who is not supporting me economically, but is dragging me down with him?
And yes, Russ talks about his job situation. And he puts the blame of his career issues on leaving the stability they could have had in Oklahoma.
Went through 3 layoffs. I feel like she doesn't recognize the sacrifices that I've gone through.
Now Pao is supporting the family financially. And she's not happy about it at all.
And we just moved to Las Vegas, and I told him not to come with me.
She says Russ isn't motivated anymore, and Russ argues that he gave up a lot of opportunities so he could move and be with his family, keep them together. Both of them seem convinced that the other person is the problem, and it also sounds like the only thing keeping their marriage together is their son. Not a good sign.
He also shares the bed with us.
How old is Axel?
Axel's 6 years old now.
Their faces when they said his age, they're like, what? Then things get even more awkward when Pao says she feels like a dead cow during sex.
I don't know. I feel like I chose a dead cow in there and like, okay.
Dead cow. She said that on national television. That's not a good start to try to fix your marriage. Russ says those comments hurt him.
It really just felt like Pao was trashing me.
But it's kind of difficult to tell because he's had the same facial expression for the last 12 years. And after watching all of this, I think what's so interesting about Russ and Paola is that their biggest problem isn't new. It's the same thing they've been dealing with since the beginning. He wanted stability, to have roots and family in Oklahoma. She wanted opportunity, something bigger, something exciting. And neither of them actually fully got what they wanted 12 years later. Isn't that crazy? They've moved a lot, changed careers, started a family, and they're here. So do we think this castle can fix things? Or is this doomed from the start? I know it's early, it's the first episode, but based on what I'm seeing so far, I'm not betting on this being a fairy tale ending. Let me know what you think. We'll have to see how the rest of this season plays out. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye!